Are you tired of all the baloney? Well, you know what you need. Straight talk with Jack Graham. So make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Now, here is Jack Graham.
Well, welcome back, everybody. It's Jack Graham, another Straight Talk with Jack video. This is part two of our, if I can only keep 10 records, which ones would they be? First of all, thanks again for being here. Thanks again for taking some time to listen to what we talk about here, and hit the like button if you can, and if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified when a new video pops up. Anyhow, for those of you who may have not have watched the first video, I'll be very brief here. I have gotten a lot of emails and questions about what are your 10 favorite records, and I guess these would be it. I guess what I'm trying to say is that if someone told me I had to get rid of all these records, there's records here and there's records here and here, a bunch of CDs over here, more down here, more up here. If I had to get rid of those, which 10 would I keep? If you could only keep 10, which ones would I keep? And it was really tough to do this. I thought about it for quite a while. Some of these records mean more to me than just the music. There's a lot of memories in this music, and I think you'll get that as I go through these. So, without taking too much time, let's just get to it. Again, thanks for hanging in. Wow, I've got 4 copies of this record, and they're all different. So, I think I was 13. Those of you who don't know, I grew up in and around New York City. Went to high school in New Jersey, right outside of New York City. And after high school, went to Indiana University, where I studied music, played in the band, jazz bands and orchestras, and studied math and English and the rest of that stuff you have to do out there to get a degree. But at any rate, and then moved back and then around to get to where I am now here in eastern Tennessee. But having been in the area, in New York area, I was very, very, very blessed to have been exposed to a lot of live music very young. Someday maybe I'll do a video about that and talk about some of the musicians that I grew up around that inspired me to go on. But at any rate, when I was about 12, 13, I guess I was about 13. Wasn't that young, probably 13. For my birthday, my mom took me to see the Count Basie band at the Riverboat in New York. And it was amazing. And it was this band that I'm going to talk about on this record. Let's see who was in here if I can. I remember most of these guys, but this was the band that around 1961, 62 that had Harry Edison in it. Again, Eddie Lockjaw Davis. I'll just go through the bigger names that you may know. Gene Coe, Sonny Con, Oscar Brashear on trumpet on here. Who else? Of course, Freddie Green on guitar is there forever. At any rate, it's a great band. So this band made a few records, one of which was done in Las Vegas at the Tropicana. And this is called Standing Ovation. If you have a streamer, I use Cubose and it's on there. Standing Ovation. Check this out. It's really a great sounding record. And I think, it's one of my top 2 or 3 Count Basie records. I've got a number of pressings till I got the one that I'm really happy with. This one here is the original MCA Records pressing, and then This one here is a dot. It's on Dot Records to begin with, but this is done in Monarch. Monarch is a pressing plant that's been known for good stuff. This is a Monarch pressing. This one really sounds good. Um, I found a UK pressing, which is also pretty good. I don't think it's as good as the Monarch, but it's pretty good. And then the best pressing and best sounding record I have of this, and of course I invested in it because I wanted it, is the Japanese version from 1978 on ABC Records, the yellow ABC record with the Japanese obi. They call us an obi here. Just an amazing record. Harry Edison, there's a tune on here called Cherry Point. Harry had a bunch of licks that he liked to play all the time. I think Clark Terry got this lick from Harry where he'd take a note and go up kind of in half steps and up to the note where they want it to be. That's one lick, and then Harry would repeat one note a lot. And on here, he plays one of those licks on Cherry Point, and it's right on time, right like a metronome. That's one of Harry Edison's signature licks. And I have to tell you, this may be I think, one of his greatest solos on here. This is just an unbelievably great record with, a lot of the Basie original, not original, Basie standard tunes. Little Darlin' on here's great ballad. Really, really a tough tune to play right on time and sync the harmony. The harmony that was written on that record is just, on that chart, it's just amazing, especially in the saxophones. This is a Frank Foster arrangement, I think. Jive at 5, Jump at the Woodside, 1 o'clock jump. And again, this was done, I think in the late 60s. So if I was 14, 66, this is a year or two after I saw them in the Riverboat, but it's essentially the same band. I heard that band and I said to my mother, I said, that's what I want to do. I never made it to the Count Basie band, but I learned to play good enough that, it was a fun life in the music business there for a number of years. Another record that meant a lot to me because I love the playing, and at the time the sound was just an amazing sound for a recording. Not all of CTI's stuff from the 70s to me is that good. Musically, some of it's really good, but it's kind of the sound was, Creed Taylor did some things that could have been done, I think, a little better. But one of the great records that was done that I remember when I got it, I bought it. I was at college. I was in Indiana when this came out. And, man, I listened to this and said, man, listen to Freddie Hubbard play on this. Record called First Light. I bet most of you have heard this. If you don't know it, find it. If you know it, go listen to it again. This is an original CTI pressing from, I believe, probably 1970 or 71 or 72, in that area. What a band. Dee Jeanette, Ron Carter, Richard Wyans, Hubert Laws. Hubert Laws is a classically trained flautist. What a player. What a great player. Was on here, and then George Benson. George Benson getting ultra popular in the pop scene, doing all that singing that they did and all of that, which is fine. But he really plays great on here. Benson could play. Benson was a great guitarist in his own right. But this record, First Light, recorded really well on CTI. I don't know if Van Gelder had anything to do with this. I believe it was probably done in his studio in Englewood Cliffs. I probably should have looked at this, folks, before I did this video. And Van Gelder, 1971. There's some strings on here, some French horns on here. There's some harp work on here. And there's probably, 8, 10 violinists on here. but Freddie just plays. Man, does Freddie play good on this record? Just scary good. It means a lot to me because I remember listening to this till it was unplayable when I was in Indiana, and I just fell in love with Freddie's ballad playing on there, mostly on flugelhorn. Getting back to Basie, one of the best sounding records, it's just a swinging record, was with Frank Sinatra. Recording that was done at the Sands, all Quincy Jones arrangements, and put out by Analog Productions, of course. Or was it? Maybe it wasn't. No, it wasn't. This is a Mobile Fidelity record. This is on Mobile Fidelity, and it's just amazing. I think you can still find these. I'm sure it's not in print anymore, but they're around, and they're really, really, really good. Sonny Burke did the production on this, and it's a live recording, done superbly. The master tapes must have been amazing to make this record. This is probably one of the top 10 best sounding records I own. Musically, man, I tell you, Frank loved the Basie band because the time Sonny Payne laid down on drums, and just that. I mean, it was just Frank loved to sing with Basie. He did a couple records, I believe, with Basie. But again, a lot of standards on here. You've probably heard "Fly Me to the Moon" on here. It's been played a lot. You hear Frank West's flute on here. Just a great record. And again, I've got a couple copies of this. I don't play this too often because it's a pretty pricey record, the Mobile Fidelity one. And but boy, does it sound good. And again, if I only could keep 10 records, man, there would be no question that this would be one. A lot of people say this was Sinatra's best performance ever, with the Basie band. And I think he just got inspired because of the band. You know, there's a lot of singers that were smart like Frank that would make sure he had good musicians. I did a couple things in the backup with him over the years, but he always made sure he had great players. Paid well, but expected everybody to be on their A game, and and you were when you worked with him. Man, he had a security. His security that followed him around was probably more than the president has. Scary. Another big band record that you need to have, and this would be one I would keep, certainly is the Ellington and Newport from 1956 recording. I've got a couple copies of that as well. Again, Mobile Fidelity did this one. This is the record with the famous solo by Paul Gonsalves on Diminuendo and Crescendo in Blue, where I think he plays about 30 choruses. And after that was played, the crowd actually almost had a riot there when they announced that the night was over. There's been books written about it. Just unbelievable. But you hear that Diminuendo in Blue, and you hear Gonsalves. Every chorus gets more energetic, and the people are dancing. Man, they were dancing the aisles in Monterey or at Newport when this was done. A very historic record, but musically it's just incredible. And you know, there's another blues on here called Jeep's Blues on the other side, which is underplayed because of the Gonsalves solo on side one. But the whole record is just amazing. This would be one I keep. Another record that was, I think, in 2023 was my favorite record of the year that came. It was reissued or issued for the first time. I don't know if it, maybe it was out before, but I know it got reissued. And of course, it's a Bill Evans record, um, done in 1977 on the West Coast, and it's called "You Must Believe in Spring." It's a double album, and I think Kevin Gray did this, so I'm not mistaken. Yes, he did. On Kraft Records, reissued on Kraft Records. This was one of Evans's later trios, and it when you list Evans, you always think of the Riversides, because Waltz from Debbie became the one of the great records that was issued. I guess earlier this year or late last year, and the Village Vanguard stuff with Scott LaFaro. But man, I got to tell you, this is a great record, and Eddie Gomez plays great on there, and Elliot Zigman on drums plays very tasty drums on here. But this is a late recording of Bill Evans. He was not in good shape when this was made. But I have to tell you, I believe this came out in 2022. Let's see what it says on here. It doesn't say who did the mastering, but I'm sure Kevin Gray did do this, yeah. And it was a studio album in 1977, and it's just recorded well. One of my favorite records. Again, if you can't find this, you can listen to it on the stream. I do all the time, and it's quite good. Man, what a great record. Yeah, I mean, I could probably find another 10 if I was allowed to keep 20 fairly easily now that I'm thinking about this stuff. But these 5, and then part 1, if you haven't listened to it, check it out. 10 really great records. Maybe not the some of the most ones that people come up with, but to me they just mean so much. Finally, to end, like I do all videos, I think we talked about Aaron Copland in the last video on the classical side of things. My classical record for this is, again, a record I think that would be beneficial for a lot of people to start listening to symphonic music, if you haven't already. And it's a particularly good recording, and it was done on Deutsche Grammophon. And it's Gene Sibelius, the Finnish composer, who wrote some just gorgeous, very inspiring music in the early 20th century. There's a lot of big stories I could tell you about him and such that you could read on the internet. It'd be good for you to do that. But this is his 5th symphony. He wrote 7. And number 2 and number 5, I believe, are probably his most popular, I think. Number 7 is a short piece that really, you'd think wasn't a symphonic work. It only lasts about 20 minutes, maybe 25, but it's really great. This would be a good place to start. It's just a glorious, glorious symphony. This recording by Herbert von Karajan is available on CD. You can find it on vinyl. This is not a first issue. It's probably somewhere in the middle. It's probably been issued many times. But this recording on Deutsche Grammophon is one of the best, if not the best, version, I think, of Sibelius's fifth symphony. One well worth listening to. And again, it's not heavy listening. It's really pretty, very, very pretty music. And again, if you're new to symphonic work, or we like to call classical music, this is a good place to start. At any rate, I think that's enough, folks. If you're still here with us, thank you for hanging in. And we'll get back with another video. I have some other ideas and some other topics. Anybody else has some ideas, leave me a comment, and I'll be happy to try to follow up with that. I try to respond to everybody's comments. Might take a day or two to get to them, but I try to. And again, thank you all for being here. Subscribe, like, the whole bit. And number 80 is my 80th video. I mean, there's a lot of people have done a lot more than that. But for me, I never thought I'd get to 80. But it's a lot of fun. And meeting a lot of the people I met here on the channel, through the channel. It's all good. At any rate, thank you all for being here. And until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.